Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Eric with SweetSpotDFS, and welcome to my DFS strategy video for the 2022 CJ Cup. Now, hopefully you had a chance to watch my DFS preview video I put out last night, because I went over a lot of foundational pieces you need to consider when building your DFS lineups. If you haven't seen the video, don't worry, I'll provide a link, top right-hand corner. Drill down on that, watch the video, come back to this one. You have a better idea of what I'll be discussing. Now, this video really is just meant to narrow down our player pools, find our anchor plays we want to build our lineups around, and then fill in the rest with either our favorite plays or just common sense logical plays. So if you want to see what I'll cover in depth, I have timestamps in the description below. You can find those timestamps on YouTube's progress bar. All you have to do is hover over the progress bar and you will see everything I'm covering there. Before we get into the video, just a reminder, I have some giveaways that I'm doing throughout this week. If we reach 250 subscribers, as you can see the goal right here to the left, if we hit 250 subscribers, the giveaway will be ran Sunday night during my review video for this tournament. And if you want an entry into that giveaway, all you have to do, be subscribed to the channel. I think that's a dead giveaway. And then please participate in the comment section below. Each of my videos gives you a free entry. So I just did a preview video yesterday. If you go comment on that, what I asked you to comment there, you get a free entry, especially if you're subscribed. For this video, tell me your two favorite golfers you're going to build lineups around this week. That is the comment topic. If you participate, you'll get a free entry into the giveaway at the end of the week. I think we're going to get to our 250 subscribers. I think we've reached we got 6 subscribers over the last 2 days. We're trending in the right direction. I think we're going to hit that goal. So if you want a chance to win $10, go ahead, comment in any of the videos this week. You'll get free entries into it. And then also share it on Twitter. That'll get you an additional free entry. So you can get up to 4 entries into this giveaway. Just increasing your chances of winning. Again, it's $10 free that I'm sending you. So please participate and subscribe. The second one, it's a prize picks giveaway. All you have to do, sign up. I have a link in the description that'll bring you right to prize picks using the promo code SweetSpot. So if you sign up, use that promo code and put a minimum deposit of $20 in, you will be automatically entered into this giveaway, and that entry will never go away until you win. So you will basically be grandfathered in until you get the $20 from me. And the best part of it, prize picks is going to match your deposit. So no matter how much you put into it, well, up to $100, they're going to double your money. So if you put 20 in, you're basically gonna play prize picks for free, and you're gonna have $40 at your disposal. So again, easy enough. And we had a winner this last week. I think it's Matthew Martin. I can't remember. I just looked at it before this, and I just have a terrible short-term memory. So I would say this: if you have signed up, go check the review video to see if your name was called, and then you're gonna have to email me your preferred payment method. So anyways, that's how you do the second giveaway. $20 free. Pretty simple. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump into this strategy video. And the first thing we will talk about is the SweetSpot score, because this drives everything. My number one golfer this week is Dustin Johnson. Now, I have to kind of do a little disclaimer here. It wasn't Dustin Johnson. Actually, no. It was. My apologies. What I did between the preview video and the strategy videos, I removed a stat. I removed course history from what my score looks at, primarily because there is no course history at this tournament. We could use tournament history, but we have 4 years of data. It's not enough to really normalize anything. I mean, it kind of is. It's close enough, but I just didn't like it. I wanted to remove it. A big reason was Maverick McNeely. This is his home course. Or one of them. I know he's a member here. Apparently he has one of the lowest rounds at this, or the lowest scores at this golf course. He shot a 61 sometime. Colin Morikawa was talking about it because he's also a member at this golf course. He's like ranked 57th in my model. I think he's 59th. If I were to scroll down, remember there's only 78 golfers in this field. So if I scroll down, here's Maverick McNeely. he was 59th when I included tournament history. I didn't like that. Like it just didn't make sense because Maverick McNeely is a talented golfer. So I wanted to see if that, did anything. Obviously he climbed 2 spots, but it really didn't change much. And when I look at the rest of the stats, they all make sense. And just to show you what I'm covering, I do this every single week. Basically the same model. We're looking at official world golf ranking. This is just your long-term success rate of golfers, essentially. I think it's a really good stat to use when, comparing golfers to each other. I'm looking at the overall grass average dating back to 2013. I'm looking at the top 10 success rates for this grass stat, for bent grass greens, that is. And then I'm looking at the 2021 bent grass stat as well. So 3 grass stats. Probably could remove 1 or 2 of these, but I like having 3 of these here to better, widen the gap between. To me, it's your skilled golfers. Those that are good on bent grass are going to shine through. If they're like kind of bad on recent form, it's not going to really hurt them that much. Obviously it's going to counteract. So I like those 3 stats. We're looking at bogey, avoidance, birdie, or better. Again, it's just your way to separate your better golfers from your worst golfers. We're looking at recent form stats, your DraftKings average over the last 8 weeks, your recent form average, which is their average finishing position, and then their scoring average. If the numbers look weird to you, it's just because that's how it looks in my model. I'm trying to get every score close to 100, except for the recent form stats. I'm trying to get that as close to 50. I'm weighing this down a little bit because, recent form matters, but it shouldn't matter as much as like season-long stats. And that's what we have over in this column, DraftKings average, scoring average. So all of those points added up gives me a score over here, and then that score obviously lives within the ranking. So Dustin Johnson's your number 1 ranked golfer. I thought it was Justin Thomas. Maybe you guys, if you remember in the preview video, JT I think was number 1. Rory I think was always number 2. And I think DJ was 3. But now it's flipped. DJ's number 1, Rory's 2, JT's 3. You have all your 10K golfers up here, minus Colin Morikawa. So again, this is Morikawa's one of his member golf courses, or that he's a member of. It wouldn't surprise me if most of these PGA pros have several golf courses that they're members of. But Morikawa does call Vegas home. I think he calls this his home golf course. So him being down here 14th ranked in my model is, I don't know, it is what it is. Like, he's still a really good golfer, but of the 10K golfers, he's fallen behind quite a bit. But when we look at the rest of the price tags, DraftKings did a pretty good job of determining the good golfers and pricing them accordingly. But there is one outlier. There's one outlier, maybe 2. I wouldn't so much say Kevin Na is an outlier down here in 19th position. He is ranked better than, say, Harris English at $8,900, which doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Harris English has been kind of okay, within the last 6-7 weeks. He obviously had a pretty good beginning to the season last year, as well as sort of an end. I think I forget where he won the Travelers, and that's pretty close to the end of the season. Harris English had a good year last year, but recently he hasn't been so great. So to see Kevin Na above him doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And Kevin Na, he's outranking a few golfers that are a little higher priced than him, but not by much. Like Kokrak is down here, surprise, surprise. Mark Leishman is down here. Extremely interesting. But either way, Kevin Na's there. But the outliers, Joaquin Niemann. I liked Niemann last week. I like Niemann this week. So I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Niemann. And of course, when I run the optimizer a little later, you're going to see that the optimizer likes Niemann. Obviously, 16th ranked in my model, $7,400. It's going to be easy to make lineups with him. So yeah, really do like Joaquin Niemann. So these are your top 10 within the Sweet Spot score. Remember, there's only 78 golfers in this field. So you're looking at about a third of the field on the screen right now. Now with the SweetSpot rank, we go into the Marquee tee time pairings. And I won't lie, when I first did this, all I could do was find 4 Marquee groups. And really, we're going to talk about those 4 because I shaded them a different color. But the rule here with my Marquee tee time pairings, so there's 78 golfers in the field. If you multiply that by 66% or 2/3, you're going to get a number around 52. It's 52 point something. So I'm looking at the golfers that are paired up together. They're in groups of 3. If their collective rank is under 52, I'm going to highlight them a dark green. So if I just go ahead, filter this out by those colors, you'll see we only have 4 groups to talk about. And their collective score, again, for their SweetSpot rank is under 52. This doesn't give me a lot of confidence to choose from. Usually we see somewhere between 5 to 8 groups when it comes to the Marquee tee time pairings. This actually might be better because, you know, the less amount of Marquee tee time pairings, the easier it will be to try to figure out which golfers to choose. So maybe I'm looking at a different, like, I think that latter part that I just said, I think that's what we have to think about this. Last year, believe it or not, is when I started recording the Marquee tee time pairings at this tournament. Or no, it was, yeah, I think it was this one. It was this one or it was Zozo, but it was really close this time. Either way, from that moment forth throughout the entire season, we've seen at least 1 or 2 golfers from the Marquee tee times in the optimal lineups every single week. Last week was the first time we saw 0. And I kind of blame a lot of that on the Korn Ferry graduates that came into the PGA Tour. A lot of my rankings depend on season-long stats, and when you don't have any season-long stats from the previous season, hard to rank those golfers accordingly. They're obviously very skilled. They made it on tour. I just don't have something currently that can rank them. But this is a field where we see nothing but your high-ranked golfers who did play last season. Like, we have basically no Korn Ferry graduates here. We do have 5 South Korean golfers because this is a South Korean-based event, and they get special sponsorships / exemptions for this tournament. So there will be new golfers here that I absolutely don't recommend playing at all. I think they're a little out of their league here, but obviously they can do okay. There's no way they're going to be in the optimal lineup. Not a chance. Not inside the top 10 either. Like, I would give it like a 0.0001% chance. Either way, with that being said, like, I think we can look at Marquee tee time pairing. So sorry for that little rant. Just had to throw that out there because that's kind of how I feel about it. So as we look at these groups, you got Hideki Matsuyama, Sung Jae Im, Colin Morikawa. These are ball striking. I mean, they're the best on tour. Like, if you were to put a group of golfers, never mind. I don't want to say that. They're really known for ball striking. Let's put it that way. Probably not so much your putter. So these are your team no putt, really good approach stat guys, really good tee to green, essentially. So I could see this group excelling, playing with each other, but also if putts aren't falling, which they have a really high chance in this group not to fall, that type of thing is oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of the word, like when disease is spread, contagious. Oh my goodness, sorry. So not getting the ball in the hole can be contagious, especially on the greens. So there's a little worry, but I kind of like this group a lot. I think seeing golf balls get close to the hole is going to inspire most of the other guys. Like, it's going to be a contest almost every single hole to try to get the ball closer to the hole. So that's just how my feelings are about it. Obviously, these guys could just show up and just be terrible. But I'm not forecasting that whatsoever. The next group, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Jason Kokrak. I don't care for Kokrak, but McIlroy and Thomas, I think, are in really good spots. And I do like those two guys paired together. I don't mind Kokrak. Like, I'll play him in some lineups, but he is the worst ranked golfer out of all of these guys. And if it wasn't for like Rory and Justin's low ranks, we might not even be talking about Jason Kokrak. But he is your defending champion, so I think him. I know JT's won this tournament before, but I'm almost positive Rory has not. Yeah, Rory has not. JT's won this tournament twice. Just realized this is first name, last name. Everything else is last name. I gotta switch that up. It's really disappointing. I don't know what happened there. Either way, that's not important for you guys. So I don't know why Rory's in this group, but perhaps, yeah, I don't know why Brooks is in this tournament. Why isn't he with the other champions of this tournament? I don't know, but that's a good group. I like that. The next one is super interesting, like Louis, Jordan, and Brooks. What a very eclectic group of golfers. Louis, you're quiet, really doesn't have anything bad to say. Golfer, like, he just goes about his business. You got Jordan Spieth, who basically complains after every one of his shots. And then you've got Brooks, who just kind of like snarls at everybody. That's the best way I could think of it. Jordan can probably get under Brooks's nerves by being a baby on the golf course. Louis, I don't think really gets affected. So I don't mind any of those guys. I don't have a favorite whatsoever. I mean, out of all the groups, this is probably the worst group to me, which obviously means one of them is going to be in the optimal lineup. It's a given now. The next one, DJ, Xander, Hovland. That is your dynamite group. I think this has the best rankings. Yeah, by far. Collectively, within the whole tournament. So in theory, we should have an optimal lineup golfer from this lineup or from this pairing. Not, it doesn't work that way all the time, but I really do like this group. So if it was up to me, and here's my rule as well, when looking at these Marquee Tee Time pairings, don't pick two golfers out of the same group. Just match them, like do a Dustin, and if you like Sungjae, go that route. Or, you want to get really kind of dangerous, go with DJ and JT, your two top price guys. Like, my big thing is don't match up two guys in your same group. Has it happened? Like, has two in the same lineup showed up inside the optimal lineup? Yes, it has. It's done it once. This, out of the last 52 weeks, it's done it once. So it can, but I just wouldn't highly recommend it. So that is your anchor or your Marquee Tee Times, but I did tell you I marked some other ones. So I'm not going to really talk about these golfers, but I did have two more groups to kind of go over. Cameron Smith, Harris English, Paul Casey is one of them. Why I highlighted these, there's at least one top 10 SweetSpot rank golfer in each of the groups. Like, this is a pretty decent group. Smith, English, and Casey, they're super close to that 52 ranking. Collectively, they score 60. This one, not so much. Like, Finau and I really don't care for this group either. KH Lee, Rose, and Finau. I liked Finau a lot, but I really don't care for the other two golfers. So, again, not spending a lot of time here. The last piece before we build lineups is to look at the anchor buckets. And I'm going to try to fly through this. I usually spend way too much time talking about it. In order for it to be an anchor bucket, so if I take the filter off of this, and I only look at these two columns here, how I want you to read this max ownership here is move the decimal place over 2 spots. And this is basically your minimum. So round down. So we move the decimal place over 2 spots. It's 2.0100. Just round down. So our minimum is going to be 2. And then round up with this one. Our max will be 4 for this last week bucket 2. I should just say the last year 2 bucket. I don't know why I said it the way I just did, but either way, For the last year 2 bucket, we're looking at a min of 2, a max of 4, finishing inside the top 10. And we've seen 1 to 2 of them finish inside the optimal lineup. So that's how I want you to look at it. Now, how I find the anchor buckets is that both of these categories, I want, 0.9 and above. Like I'm giving myself a little bit of leeway, or I'm giving the process a little bit of leeway. I'm not going to go 1, try to find a minimum of 1. 0.9 is going to be okay. And so obviously in this column, it would be 90. So anything 90 and above is great. Anything 0.9 and above in this one is also good. Those two things together, those find my anchor bucket. So if I put the filter back on, you're going to see that within each of these columns. So there's 96 here, 95 there. Everything else is 100 and above. So again, that's basically a minimum of at least 1. And if that minimum's there, obviously the maximums are going to be over 1 as well. So that's how I find my anchor buckets. And really, when we look at the last year bucket, it doesn't bode well for us. Actually, what the heck? This is messed up. Oh, I'm looking. Oh my goodness. I included the last weeks for the last years. I honestly almost had a heart attack there. Like my stats were off, or my data was off, but we're looking at these 3 buckets. Wow. I was going to say, oh, wow, look, there's 5 last year buckets, but there's only 3 last year buckets. And it's looking at golfers who did not play. You want at least one of them, a max of 3. Last year, 3 buckets, that 20 to 40 range. So those golfers who finished 20th to 40th place last year, we're looking for a minimum of 1, a max of 2. And then last year 2 buckets are your top 20s, and we want to find somewhere between 2 to 4. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at some of these guys. Try to find some of our favorites. Maybe we can look at or find an anchor bucket golfer. I'm sorry, a marquee tee time golfer. So again, we start here with last year's. Let's just start with, I think our lowest was last year 1, right? When it comes to what we want to find. No, last year 3. We'll look at our last year 3. So again, last year 3 is that 20 to 40 finishing spot from last year. So if I scroll here, look at our last year column, you can see their finishing places from last year, 20 to 40. We want to find at least one of these guys, and I'm going to sort it by salary. In my opinion, my big one is Rory. I already ran the optimizer. Rory comes out a ton. He is my second ranked golfer in this bucket, but we have a ton of good golfers in this bucket. You don't have to live up here. You can obviously drop down into the 8s, the 7s. There's a few 6K golfers that you can go with. I mean, your boy Ricky Fowler's there. I mean, I can say that because I think a majority of you guys probably like Ricky. But yeah, really, it's fine 1 to 2. And if we do a little vote of confidence here, it's probably leaning towards the minimum of just 1. So that's kind of how I would look at it. I would approach it as just find one guy from this bucket. I mean, for me, it's Rory. I'll own him in a bunch of lineups. If I'm going to put a percentage to it, it's probably going to be around like 20, 25%, somewhere in there. So I'm going heavy on Rory. And then I'll just sprinkle in the rest of them. We can use this max ownership as position places. So like, not position places, but positions on your lineups. So if we allocate 100 positions, and this is based off of 100 lineups, so 100 lineups times 6, there's 600 available positions. I'm allocating 100 towards this bucket, meaning we can play one last year 3 in all 100 of our lineups, or we can get frisky and maybe play in 60 of our lineups, 2 of them. You can't do that. Maybe 30 of our lineups, we do 2 of them. That would equal 60. The remaining 40 we add. And so we have 50 lineups that have at least 1, but then we have 50 of them that don't. It's just however you want to build your lineups. Personally, I just always spread it out thin. So I'll be creating probably like 90 lineups where there's at least, or 90 lineups with at least 1 in them. And then 10 of them will have an additional last year 3. But yeah, so that's how I look at it. I'm not going to keep explaining that as I go through it. But yeah, last year 3s looks like Rory for me. I'd be interested to see who you'd be on, but yeah, 3 for me. Let's see, what's the next logical one to go to? They're both 2 to 4, so it doesn't matter. We'll look at last year 2 buckets. We'll go down the line. Not a lot of golfers in this, but you're looking for 2 to 4. Now, the very first thing that kind of points out to me, well, there's a couple of them. Sebastian Munoz, Joaquin Niemann. They're low price guys. Like Sebastian Munoz is almost the stone min. So $6,000 is the absolute minimum. He's $100 over that. For his talent level, I like Sebastian Munoz. And he can get really hot with the putter. So I'm liking that. Joaquin Niemann, just another talented golfer. I like him out of this group a lot. But then if I look up at the top, like I like Hovland, I like Schauffele, I'm going to be a little leery of Morikawa. He still has to make putts. That's the big thing when it comes down to Morikawa. I don't care if he's a member here, how comfortable he is. That putter needs to be at least neutral. And he obviously does have his putting issues, his putting woes. So I'm still going to own probably like 10% of him, but it's not, that's about the majority or the most that I'll own him. Justin Thomas is up here. I really like JT this week. We haven't seen him since the Ryder Cup, and you really can't tell an individual performance based off the Ryder Cup. Not really, because that is match play. So, you know, he didn't have the strongest of finishes when it came to the FedEx Cup playoffs. If I go to my recent form tab and just look at JT, I guess he had a 4th place finish at the Tour Championship. So what am I saying? I do like Justin Thomas. Plus maybe the new caddy Bones Mackay that's on his bag. I think that might be a benefit to him. So I don't mind Justin Thomas, but these are the 5 golfers that I would choose. So I think we can get to 2 of them pretty easy. And I think that's where we probably want to start some of our anchor plays around. It's like JT or Xander, and then come sprinkle in any of these guys down here. Last year ones, led by Dustin Johnson. So if you want to go this route, again, we're looking at 2 to 4 of these guys. This bucket's pretty large. It has the majority of your golfers in it. Actually, how many does it have? 31 golfers in this bucket. So it really seriously could be any of these guys down here, which to me kind of puts a little bit of a detriment to Dustin Johnson. It kind of lessens his value in my opinion, whereas the other 2 buckets we talked about had fewer golfers in it. Now, obviously had very talented golfers in those buckets. As you can see, there's only one 10K golfer in this bucket, and it's DJ. So, you know, I'm trying to say, if you feel comfortable playing DJ, by all means do so, because he's in a good bucket. He's the number 1 ranked golfer in my model. He's the number 2 ranked golfer in the world. I don't think there's anything wrong about going with Dustin Johnson, but you also have all these choices down here, and we have 2 to 4 picks to choose from. So yeah, you could really go DJ, maybe Tringali, 7,000. That's a really good value. Maybe McNeely because you believe in the member play. Aaron Wise, you know, coming on strong. Really, any of these guys in the 8K range, I'll probably stay away from Scott and Reed, honestly. I like Finau. So you got so many options with this last year 1 bucket that I don't feel super confident going with DJ, but I think we'll build some lineups with him a little bit later. So that rounds out your last year buckets. Now your last week buckets, you really want to be focusing on golfers who missed the cut and golfers who didn't play last week. Those are our anchor buckets when it comes to the last week buckets, or our anchor plays, I should say. So if we go and check, we want last year 4s and last year 1s, or I'm sorry, last week 4s and last week 1s. So if we go to the 4s right away, again, these are the guys who missed the cut. We have some disappointing guys here, like Abram Ancer, Scotty Scheffler. I played a lot of them last week at the Shriners. This is a good time to bounce back to them. This is a bucket that you do want to select golfers from. You want to pick somewhere between 1 to 2 golfers from this bucket. Did I select the wrong bucket? Well, hold on. Last week 4s, last week 4s. Wonder if this was, oh my goodness. This should be, there should be less of these, right? I think we're looking at the wrong thing. Last week 4s, this year should be more. Hold on. Something did not update. Okay. Sorry about this. I need to find out why this is looking. Okay, we're looking at the wrong bucket or the wrong column. That's always nice. On H instead of K. Always something, man. Always something. Okay, that's fine. E, H, is that what we want? Yep, okay. So I think this might change. It probably is going to change. Still want last week 4s. We still want last week 1s. Surprisingly. But that's good. It's good to see. So they change. It goes 1 to 3. That's what we want when it comes to our last week 4s. 1 to 3 of them. Okay. So with that being said, here is your list of golfers. Sorry for that. But we have Maverick McNeely there once again. Again, Answer Scheffler. Great plays in my opinion. Maybe bounce back to Webb. Mr. Gabriel Brown. I know you were disappointed with Webb. This would be a good time to get on or get back to Webb. Maybe, you know, Paul Casey, Patrick Reed. I'm just not huge fans of theirs, so it's hard for me to get excited, especially when the history of me playing any of those two, like any of these guys, either of these guys, I just don't have success. You know, obviously Patrick Reed won somebody $1 million during the Masters. He doesn't show up when you think he should, and he shows up when you think he shouldn't. So I would rather have him at a grinded out golf course than a birdie making golf course, and that's what this is going to be. Despite Patrick Reed being a really good birdie golfer, like he makes a lot of streaks of birdies. So I don't know. He looked bad though last week, and that's concerning. I didn't get to see any of Paul Casey's game, so I have no idea. And actually, maybe Reed would be better here because the fairways are a little bit wider than they are at the Shriners. Like Patrick Reed just couldn't even find the fairway at the Shriners. So I don't know. Obviously, assess your own risk, play them accordingly, but I don't think I'm gonna get there. Again, we want 1 to 3. It's easy to get to someone like Scheffler, Answer. Webb is kind of discounted, like $8,700. That's pretty good. My guy Munoz is down here. It's really hard for me not to play someone like Sebastian Munoz. So those are kind of my picks when it comes to this bucket. Last week bucket 1s. It's headed by Dustin Johnson. We have 32 golfers in this bucket. You have all your 10K golfers. So for me, a little bit more challenging to select golfers from this bucket. I'll let the optimizer do that for me. But we want somewhere between 2 to 5 golfers from this bucket. So I mean, you can look at it several ways. I really like Rory McIlroy. He obviously is in this bucket. I also like Xander. Kind of cautious with DJ, but again, he's in this bucket, so the chances of him finishing inside the top 10 are pretty high, despite him already just being a talented golfer. And same with Justin Thomas. So my theory or my feelings, because I do this every single week, we're probably gonna have one guy from this 10K range finish inside or gonna be in the optimal lineup. So I think you could start your lineups here, but the problem is there's 6 golfers to choose from. So if you do the quick math, you can, out of 100 lineups, you can make 16 unique lineups with one of these guys in them. So you can own them at 16%, which is still going to be pretty high. And I don't think that's a terrible thing to do. I think you're going to find a winner or, you know, an optimal lineup golfer in the range here that I'm selecting. Which leads the other, you know, again, it's 2 to 5 you want to select. So you're probably going to find the rest. You're going to find 1 to 4 golfers probably in here. And it's really your choice. I would stay away from the South Koreans that got the invite here. How many are there? There's 7 of them. I think I said 6, but there are 7. I would also probably stay away from Benny An, like Byung-Hun An. He hasn't played that well. Vegas and Kirk are interesting options to me. Probably staying away from Grace, Woodland, maybe play some Bradley. I definitely don't want to play any Jason Day. Just I want to see it. I mean, if he comes back, if we see him during this tournament and he's slimmed down, he has a more focus on golfing better, then yeah, I'll pick Jason Day. But like the last time we saw him, it wasn't good. You know, I can wait and see. I don't mind. Again, or I should say this, he has really good bent grass like overall stats, not so much in 2021. Alex Noren's a good play. I'm not gonna go through all these guys, but obviously you can see them on the screen. So that covers your last week buckets. And also we talked about the last year buckets. Now we go on to the course history buckets. These aren't really worth talking about, if I'm being honest. But if you want just to know the knowledge, I explained this in the preview video. I had said I need at least 2 years before I record anything as course history. So 2 years have to pass, and then I start recording course history for these buckets. So we only have 4 years, meaning those first 2 years, there's no course history stats for the buckets, that is. And then it starts that next year. So I only have 2 years of course history data. It's just something very difficult to forecast because the data hasn't normalized. 2 years is not enough for data to normalize, in my opinion. But if you want having that 1 to 20 average finishing position, having a 20 to 40 averaging position, and just not playing here ever, or not playing in this tournament, those are all buckets that have shown up inside the optimal lineup every single year that I have data for. So you can take that with a grain of salt, or take it however you want. I'm not going to go through those course history golfers. Just wanted to show you the data that I have. The last 3 buckets that I care to talk about is recent form 3s, 1, 2, 3, and that's looking at your top recent form averages. So 1 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60. We're forecasting them, you know, most of them 1 to 3. Your recent form 1, we're forecasting 2 to 4. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look there, and we will start with 3. So 3 and 2, we want somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers. So with that being said, I want to double check. Yeah, 1 to 2. I'd say 1 to 2 for this bucket. So we want 1 to 2 golfers from here. Now my projections are they're going to finish inside the top 10. So it is very possible we have 2 golfers from this bucket finish inside the top 10, and only one of them being in the optimal lineup, or perhaps none of them being in the optimal lineup. There's a very real chance that can happen. So as much as I like Rory, as much as I like DJ, as much as I like JT, if they all finish inside the top 10 and say 10, like DJ finishes 8th place and say Rory finishes 10th place, they'll carry on those stats and the projections will be right, but they won't be in the optimal lineup. Either way, I'm not concerned about that. I'm still going to play these guys as much as I want because I do like them. But the rest of the group, in my opinion, like Wise, Im, and Finau, those guys are all on my radar. I do want to play those guys. Burns at $9,800 is very tempting. I guess I'm one of those that think he probably should be priced a little lower. Like he should be priced lower than Louis, or around where Louis is. I just haven't jumped on the Burns train yet. But either way, yeah. Those are your recent form 3 golfers. Again, you want somewhere between 1 to 3. but realistically 1 to 2. Again, we have the same thing here. You want somewhere between 1 to 3 from this bucket. These are your recent form 2s. Morikawa, Koepka, Scheffler, all decent options. I do like Webb. Very interesting about this bucket. So you've got 5 golfers that are in the 8K and above range. You have 2 that are in the 7K range, and then everybody else is in the 6K range. So you might find your 6K golfer out of this bucket. Some of my top choices: Streelman. I like Streelman. I do like Harman. I like Kazire. I have a soft spot for Chris Kirk. I think he's a very talented golfer, could do really well. Cameron Davis has a lot of talent. He has a lot of upside, so he can play really well here. And believe it or not, Lucas Glover, like stone minimum, he's going to show up on the optimizer. 60th ranked golfer, but I guess I don't know. I don't mind him. So yeah, you got some decisions here. And then the last bucket we'll look at, recent form 1s. We want somewhere between 2 to 5, I believe. Let me double check on that. 2 to 4. You want 2 to 4 golfers from this bucket. Starts with Xander and Jordan Spieth. I'm probably staying away from Spieth. I like Xander. I like Hovland. I like Matsuyama. Cameron Smith, if you didn't know, has top 10 finishes every single year at this event. So of the 4 years played prior to this year, he's been inside the top 10 every single time. But I mean, the bucket is pretty large. You do have Joaquin Niemann down here, super talented, super high upside. Charlie Hoffman's been playing really well. I mean, you got a lot of good choices. I like Vegas in Vegas, very nice. Cameron Tringale, $7,000, cheapest you're ever gonna find him. I think it's a really good price tag on him. And then I really have nothing else to say about any of these other golfers. Very talented, don't get me wrong, but let's move on. So we went through all of the anchor buckets with golfers from each of their buckets. We talked about the marquee tee time pairings. We want to build lineups based off of that. And obviously what I saw and who I talked a lot about, I really like Rory. I'd like DJ. Xander as well. Those 3 golfers inside the 10K range, those are the ones that I'm probably going to build most of my lineups around. But I think the best way to do this is let's just sort by color. Let's look at our marquee tee time pairings, our marquee golfers. And we will create, I'm going to bring in the optimizer here. If it hasn't gone to sleep on me. So we're going to use the optimizer to find our best plays when we pair up some of the golfers. So I'm going to be flipping through, but just to let you guys know, I've loaded all the projections into my min-max rules here. If you were paying attention, you will see how some of them rate out. Obviously, we were just talking about the recent form 3 or the recent form buckets. You can see I have 2 to 4 for recent form 1, 1 to 3 for recent form 2, 1 to 3 for recent form 3. And if I run this with no other rules than the projections, this is the lineup you come across. It's Rory McIlroy, it's Tony Finau, Webb Simpson, Kevin Na, Joaquin Niemann, and Johnny Vegas. I really, really like that lineup. I will be playing it. I'm just not sure which contest yet. But if I go ahead, okay, so that's just looking at the optimal. I'm a little curious here. I want to get rid of Johnny Vegas. I forget how much he would cost. There he is. Let's see what the optimizer will run. Just to see if it sticks with Rory, Finau, Simpson, Niemann, KH Lee, Rose. So Rose and KH Lee get added to this. But it still sticks with that 4 of McIlroy, Finau, Simpson, and Niemann. So those are the 4 golfers the optimizer absolutely loves. But let's go ahead and look at some of our marquee tee time pairings because it's going to be really easy to build lineups with that. So I'm going to start with a Rory. Let's go Rory Xander. Let's see what some Rory Xander lineups look like. I'm going to create 3 lineups with each of these guys in them. And I'm going to replace the lowest ranked golfer in the group. So we have Schauffele, McIlroy, Cameron Smith, which obviously we were just talking about top 10s, Charlie Hoffman, Brian Harman. These are all golfers I told you I liked. And then Vegas. So that all works out. Vegas is the lowest ranked. So let's go ahead. Let's remove him. Run the optimizer again just to see, you know, if we see any changes. I'm sure we'll see Joaquin Niemann in there again. Sure do. And now we bring in Emiliano Grillo and Lucas Glover. Like, we didn't talk about Grillo whatsoever, but we did talk about Glover. I think we did. So this is really interesting as well. I'll go ahead and I'll remove Glover since he is the low ranked one out of the group. And so this will be our 3rd one. Did I put yes for Glover? I'm sure I did. Of course I did. Stupid. It's just one of those days. Now we include KH Lee and Brian Harman in this one. And now we bring in Harold Varner III. So that's pretty interesting. We go ahead and get rid of these the filters that are here. I'm sure those 2 golfers are going to continue to show up with the rest of these marquee tee time pairings. I think maybe in the future I'll make this live so you guys can tell me your favorite combos you want to put together. But Rory Xander would be one. I think Rory Hovland would be another one, if I'm being honest. I'm going to only do one here. This is me getting kind of greedy, not really showing you a lot, you know, difference or a lot of different pairings. Again, we have Vegas, but now we bring in 2 other golfers, and that's why I love the projections of the bucket system. Putting those in there, now I have 3 new golfers to choose from: Sung J M, Henley, Noren, Vegas. Like, if you were in the preview video with me, we talked a lot about how you need a 10K golfer, you need a 6 and a 7, and then the rest you can fill in with whatever. We have that with this lineup. It's very stars and scrubsy, which is exactly what we want, I think, in this event. This is a pretty dynamite lineup. So I like that, and I guess any consolation Rory lineups that I like. I don't mind playing Rory with Spieth or Brooks. I don't mind playing Rory with Hideki or Sungjae. So let's do that, because I think, how about we do one of each? We'll do a Rory Sungjae and we'll do a Rory Hideki. We might have the same guys, honestly, that show up. And I'm guessing Vegas will show up once again. Okay, so nothing changed from the previous lineup we just had. Russell Henley's in there. I always like seeing Russell Henley. Talented golfer, can get a lot of birdies. Going to Matsuyama from Sungjae changed quite a bit, but we actually are including Sungjae in with our Matsuyama lineup. And then we have Neiman, Noren, and Brandon Grace. So, wow, that's a really cool lineup too. I think that one's very viable. So those are my favorite Rory lineups. How about this? DJ, we'll go DJ and JT and mix them in with some guys. So if we go with DJ, we can't use Xander or Hovland, but let's say, I guess we can do a DJ, Im, and Matsuyama lineup. I don't like anybody else. I always see like DJ. How about this? We'll do a DJ JT lineup because we did talk about that. So DJ JT. Is it viable? Is it going to be a decent lineup? No. So with the bucket rules, this lineup cannot exist based off the bucket rules. So we're kind of SOL when it comes to our DJ JT lineup, which is disappointing. But obviously we were looking DJ and then the Hideki or even Sungjae lineup, including a lot of the rest, or a lot of the same. Cameron Smith, Alex Noren, Brian Harman, Johnny Vegas. It'd be funny if we see Hideki and Sungjae once again. Possible. But we do not. DJ, Matsuyama. Now we bring in Lowry, but we have Neiman, Noren, and Grace. So those are the same guys that keep showing up. One more DJ lineup. Let's put Brooks in there. Let's put the Bash brothers together. Couldn't have said that any more Minnesotan. It sounded very Minnesota. Which I have no issue with. All right, so the Bash brothers, them together. We're basically, I think, substituting out Johnny Vegas with KH Lee, and then, yeah, I don't see much difference. All right, Justin Thomas. Let's put a JT lineup together. Did we do a JT Rory lineup? Oh, they're together. Never mind. They are playing together. So JT. Xander Hovland, so basically following the same steps as Rory. I'm leaving a lot of Kokrak out, and I'm leaving a lot of Jordan Spieth, a lot of Colin Morikawa. This will bite me in the ass. But just so you guys know, I usually spread out my ownership. I don't really go super focused on certain golfers. I like to play the percentages and hopefully build a lineup that is perfect. You know, I'm not going to stick with like a core of 4 golfers and just mix and match 2 of them hoping to hit. I might sometime in the future, but I don't think it's going to be this week. Either way, I spread my ownership out, in case you guys were wondering. JT Hovland, try it out. I think this is a pretty decent lineup, or a pretty decent theory of building a lineup. A lot of the same names. We include Webb. We have Noren, Harmon, Vegas. How about a Brooksy lineup? Patrick Reed and Sergio get added to this one. That is extremely interesting. Okay, that's really cool. Let's check out Sungjae, and then let's check out Hideki, and that will be it. Oh, so we include Tringali and Sink in the and Finau. So Thomas and Im bring in Finau, Tringali, Stuart Sink, but of course then we have Johnny Vegas. That's cool. And then Hideki Matsuyama. We do kind of change a little bit, but again, we've got Noren, Harmon, KH Lee. So those are your optimal lineups. I don't know if that's really my choice where I would go with that, but I'm not going to argue with the optimizer. The optimizer was really good last week. I think that's probably all that I have for you guys. I really don't have anything else to talk about when it comes to the buckets. I will say this. Last week, going over these anchor buckets, so if I actually remove this one, since this is our minimums, last week 28 out of the 29 buckets that I actually that had these projections hit. 28 out of 29. We have 24 buckets this week. They're on the screen right now. They're all self-explanatory, and if you need me to clarify anything, please leave it in the comments below. That way we can help out everybody. But your last year buckets, everything is by ranges of 20. So you can see what that looks like. Hopefully you guys understand what the projections are right here, how much you should play of somebody. But these last year, or last week I should say, nearly 100% hit. We almost had 29 out of 29 buckets hit. Now there's 36 total buckets, but obviously if the projections aren't high enough, they don't get included. Obviously there are some really bad golfers that are found in those buckets. So yeah, I am a firm believer in the bucket system. I think I'm due to actually create another video explaining it. I've done it long enough now that I've figured out the verbiage that makes more sense to people as opposed to what I was trying to explain before, especially in that first bucket system video that I have. But yeah, you can see the buckets like I said on here. Find your 10K golfer, find a 7, find a 6. Obviously, we did a lot of that looking at the optimizer and those builds. If you do want the optimizer, send an email to me. Hopefully you've been paying attention to the little slider that's been going across. SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com is my email. Contact me about anything. If you do want the optimizer, I certainly can send it to you. I also have a mini sheet that just gives you the bucket summary as well as the dream sheet. This one has last week's information on it. I have to update that, but this one is updated, although it says Shriners Children's Open. I just forgot to update the name, but the information in here matches what I have right here. So yeah, let me know if you want that. I have nothing else to go over, so I think that's going to be a wrap for me. Again, contests, forgot to mention that. Or not contests, giveaways. Let's get to 250 subscribers. We're super close. See if anything changed. I have another monitor up over here. Nope, we're still at 247. So if you're not yet subscribed and you're watching right now, please hit that subscribe button. Once we get to 250, we're going to run the giveaway. Free $10. I know it's not a lot, but it's something. And as the channel grows, hopefully that monetary value goes up as well. And then there's the prize picks giveaway as well. Link is in the description to sign up. Do that. Put a minimum deposit of $20 in. You will have a chance to win $20. And that's all I have now. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I have a prize picks video tomorrow that I'll be going over my favorite picks. Stay tuned for that. Other than that, good luck on DFS this week. See you later.